Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wondered how we can figure out what makes, a really good tech-enhanced language lesson?
Yeah, just by looking at how teachers talk about it.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. We're taking a fascinating research paper and pulling out the key insights for you. Quick, entertaining. Think of it like your shortcut to getting the essence.
And the source we're unpacking today is a study. It's called A Corpus Linguistic Investigation into Online Peer Feedback Practices in Koldel Teacher Education. Came out in 2020.
Right. Sert and Aşık.
Yep. And it's looking at how future English teachers give feedback to each other on materials they design for computer-assisted language learning.
CL, yeah. Basically using tech in language teaching. Apps, online exercises, that kind of thing.
Precisely.
So our mission today really is to understand what these teacher trainees are actually focusing on when they review each other's techie teaching tools. What kind of feedback pops up?
And what does that tell us, about what they know or believe about using tech well in the classroom?
And the approach here is pretty cool, isn't it?
It really is. Instead of just, say, reading a few comments, they use something called corpus linguistics.
Which lets them analyze a huge amount of text, right?
Exactly. Almost 80,000 words of blog comments from these trainees. A corpus is like this giant digital collection of language.
So you can spot the big patterns.
That's the idea. See what's really going on beneath the surface.
Okay, so before we dive into the actual feedback, maybe set the scene a bit. It sounds like online platforms are becoming, pretty standard in teacher training now.
Oh, absolutely. There's a definite trend towards using online tools, things like forums, blogs. They help teachers reflect, collaborate, improve their skills.
And blogs especially seem useful for this kind of dialogue.
Yeah. They sound to work well. They give people a space, both trainees and experienced teachers, to share ideas, work together, build a bit of a community.
Gives you time to think before you type, I suppose.
Right. And K-Mel, this whole area of tech in language learning, it's obviously more crucial than ever.
No kidding. So training teachers to actually design good tech-based stuff is key.
It's becoming essential, yeah.
Oh, good.
Lots of teacher ed programs are adding specific courses on it. This study looked at 111 pre-service teachers in Turkey.
So people training to teach English.
Exactly.
And what was the task? What did they have to do?
They were in this course, instructional technology and materials design. Part of it involved creating their own Kiel materials.
Like online quizzes or activities?
That sort of thing, yeah. And then they posted these on a course blog. But the key part was they then had to give each other feedback.
Peer feedback.
Yeah.
Classic. And all those comments, that became the data?
That became the corpus of online peer feedback in teaching, or CUPE tech as they called it, all 80,000 words of it.
Wow. Yeah.
And like we said, they used corpus linguistics to analyze it, looking for those patterns in naturally occurring language.
So with nearly 80,000 words, where do you even start? How did they figure out what the trainees were actually focusing on?
Well, one of the first steps is often generating frequency lists, basically just counting which words show up most often.
Okay, simple enough. What came out on top?
Words like students, activity, and good were really frequent.
Right. That immediately tells you something, doesn't it? Students, who it's for, activity, what it is, good they're evaluating.
Exactly. It gives you a first impression. But then they did something called keyword analysis.
How does that work?
You compare the frequency of words in your specific corpus, so CUPE in this case, against a much larger, more general corpus. Here, they used a general blog corpus.
So you find the words that are unusually common in the teacher feedback compared to just general chat online.
Precisely. It helps you pinpoint the words, and therefore the concepts, that were particularly significant or salient for this group in this context.
Clever. So what were the big themes that emerged from those keywords?
They found 4 main thematic categories. The first one was materials.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, so words like activity, exercise, and specific types like closed test, matching, crossword. These were keywords. They popped up a lot.
Interesting. Any types that were less prominent?
Well, yeah, it was quite noticeable that multiple choice quizzes was mentioned significantly less often. Like closed test had 362 mentions in the comments.
Okay.
Whereas multiple choice quiz only had 162.
Huh. That is a difference. Makes you wonder why. Maybe they see closed tests as more, communicatively useful for language. Or just more interesting to design.
Could be. It definitely signals something about their focus. The second theme was, perhaps unsurprisingly, focus.
On the students.
Bang on. The words students or learners were incredibly prominent keywords. Appeared, get this, 1,447 times.
Wow. Okay, so student-centeredness is definitely front and center for them.
Absolutely. And related to that, words like level, topic, vocabulary, and sentences were also keywords.
So thinking about suitability, right? Is it the right level? Does it fit the topic? Does it use appropriate language?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Contextualization, learner appropriateness, it really suggests they're internalizing that student-first approach, which, is vital.
Definitely sounds like they're keyed into the practicalities. What else?
The third theme was audiovisuality. This one was really strong, too.
So pictures, sound.
Yep, pictures was a huge keyword, 558 mentions. Visuals got 238, audio 152. It clearly shows they think multimedia is, really important in these towel materials.
They see the value in engaging different senses.
Seems so. There was even a specific comment highlighted where a trainee criticized a material for A2 level learners.
Beginners, basically.
Yeah, saying it lacked visuals and audio and arguing that those are pretty much essential to keep learners at that level interested.
Right. Engagement is key. Okay, so materials, focus, audiovisuality. What was the fourth?
The final one was evaluation.
Back to the word good.
Exactly. Lots of positive evaluation words were keywords. Good, suitable, clear, enjoyable, colorful.
Okay, so they're quick to point out what they think works well, but how are they evaluating? Is it just, yeah, that's good? Or is there more to it?
That's where they used another technique, collocation analysis.
Collocation, meaning words that often appear together, like best buddies in the text.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. They looked at what words tended to cluster around those positive evaluative terms like good.
And what did they find? What buddies did good hang out with?
Often words like but, because, and so.
So not just good, but, or good because.
Precisely. It points towards a pattern of, constructive feedback. They often start positive, but then they add a reason or a suggestion or a qualification.
That good but combo sounds very familiar, a classic feedback sandwich starter.
It really is. And statistically, that good but pairing was very strong in their data. It wasn't just chance. It seems like a deliberate strategy they were using to, perhaps, soften criticism or make suggestions politely.
Makes sense. So when they use these evaluator but patterns, what kinds of things were they critiquing or suggesting improvements for?
Looking closely at those good but and similar structures revealed the main areas for critique. Number one was visuality.
Like the use of colors, layout?
Exactly. Colors, background, organization, that accounted for about 25% of the critiques embedded in this pattern.
Okay, a quarter of them. What else?
The suitability of the materials level was another big one, almost 20%. Then came task design itself, about 18%.
So the actual structure of the activity.
Right. Then, interestingly, the specific need for more visuals came up again, about 17%.
So even beyond general visual design, just adding more pictures or graphics?
Yeah. After that, you had technical problems, links not working, that sort of thing, about 12.5%. Then the need for more audio or video specifically, around 6%. And finally, issues with the topic itself, only about 2%.
Fascinating breakdown. It really shows where their attention goes when offering suggestions. Do you have an example of that a good but in action?
Sure. One trainee commented on a quiz saying something like, "The questions are clear, but you may use little pictures to make it more clear. Just an advice."
Nice. Polite. Constructive.
Yeah. Or another one. "Crossword is also good, but you should use images to make it more effective."
There it is again. Acknowledge the good, then suggest an improvement, often visual. It really paints a picture of how they interact.
It does. It shows this balance between being supportive, but also offering concrete ways to make things better. That's a really important skill for teachers to develop.
Absolutely. Okay, so pulling all this together, what are the big takeaways from this deep dive into their feedback conversations?
I think it gives us really valuable clues about what these future teachers know and believe about designing good, calm materials. It's crystal clear they prioritize making things student-centered.
That 1447 number for students learners really sticks out.
It really does. And they also clearly value learner interest, engagement, and that visual appeal. Making it look good and feel engaging matters to them.
And the way they give feedback seems important too.
Definitely. The fact that they generally offer constructive feedback, often hedging it with positive comments first, suggests they're learning in a supportive environment. And they're developing, effective peer review skills.
Which fits with what we know about good call design principles and the value of this kind of online peer feedback for reflection and learning from each other.
Exactly. It helps them see different perspectives, reflect on their own designs. Yeah. And the study itself is a neat example of how corpus linguistics can, open a window onto teacher thinking and learning.
Teacher cognition, yeah.
Right. And the findings definitely have implications for how call gets integrated into teacher training everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Highlighting the need to focus on things like visual design, student focus, maybe specific activity types.
So wrapping up, future English teachers focus heavily on student needs and visual elements when they look at tech-based language materials. And they tend to give feedback constructively, often using that good but approach.
That's pretty much the gist. It's a great shortcut, like you said, into understanding what these future educators are thinking about technology in the classroom.
And it leaves you with a thought, doesn't it? How do these findings about peer feedback, about focusing on visuals and student needs, how might that apply elsewhere, in other collaborative learning situations, or even just how you evaluate information you come across? What features do you notice first?
Definitely food for thought. And, as always, if you, the listener, have a source you think would make for a great deep dive, please send it over. We're always looking for the next fascinating topic to unpack.